So text to map started so a couple of years ago. Me and my co-founder, also she's the CEO, Dana Reichmann. So we were working on a totally different product. It was a travel planner, social travel planning kind of platform. It was a few years ago, and basically we were working on it. There was also some other similar products, and while we were working on it, we saw that basically what people want, they want to create the maps quickly. You know, they want to get the information really quickly. They don't want to do the work, right, of creating all these maps, working with all these tools. And basically they wanted to read or they wanted to write. You know, it was all about blog posts and recommendation, a lot of text, and it was basically staying there. So we said, okay, we pivoted from there. We said, you know, this kind of working hours and hours on some kind of travel planning tool doesn't work. What can we do? And basically it was before ChatGPT launched or the whole AI craze was even around. So we started working on this kind of product. And well, basically when ChatGPT came around a few months ago, it just fitted us perfectly because we already had the foundation, or we designed it in a certain way that took us like a week to just implement it, ChatGPT. So we started by saying that you can basically take any text source from the web. Doesn't matter what it is. It's an email, it's an article, whatever. We also created a Chrome extension that works inside the browser, right? So you don't even have to leave the page you're on, and you can generate interactive maps in seconds from basically any text source, right? So that was the concept. That's the product. Still is here today, and you have the extra ability of ChatGPT that you can also not only take text sources and web pages, etc., and generate maps from that, but you can also ask questions and get information on a map. So we're really, really excited and happy to have this ability now, and ChatGPT gave us that ability. And we're running forward basically with 3 different abilities or offers. One is the original one, you know, take any text source. It's a book, it's a history lesson, it's a travel itinerary, whatever, and see it and generate a map from it. It's the Chrome extension where you can get information really quick on a map from whatever you're reading already, right? And third, of course, the ChatGPT where you can ask questions, get information. Yeah, and this is how we started, and this is where we're at now.
Okay, so it sounds like the niche that you're focusing on is taking any corpus of text, a book, a paragraph, a tweet, whatever. If there's something that's geographic in it that can be geocoded, I'll say, you put a pin on a map.
Yeah, so basically, we focus. For us, it made sense. Also, we see a lot of feedback from education and travel. So these are 2 niches or industries that really are excited about it. This is what we see that people are doing with it. But technically, yes, as long as there is a location that you can pin on a map in the text, it doesn't matter what the text is about. You can use it. So we've seen a lot of use cases from people visualizing a Johnny Cash song. I've been everywhere.
I've been everywhere.
Yeah. That, you know, to the 80 days around the world in 80 days book, and of course, like you know, volcanoes, a lot of travel itineraries, of course, a lot of educational information, history, etc. Yeah, so the use cases are pretty much endless, but of course, for us as a product, as a startup, we need to focus on product market fit, right? So we decided, or we saw that travel and education makes the most sense right now to focus on.
Great. Okay, so text from the travel and education industries and automatically converting that into maps or pins on maps. Okay, cool. So how's customer growth?
Yeah, so it's pretty good. We have signups daily, We have a few paying users as well, and every day it's growing. It's really interesting to see, when a kind of a industry or a kind of a group or a community, they discover the tool and suddenly what they're doing with it. Also, we support a lot of languages. I guess we support the main 10 languages, except for Arabic, unfortunately, that's not yet there. So, we're seeing people from China and France and Spain and of course, English speaking, using the product. So every culture also uses it a little bit different. It's interesting, right? Yeah, so it's going pretty well. We're very excited. We haven't really invested much in marketing, so it's really pretty much all organic. It's obviously it's very it's very viral, right? Because once you enter your text or you ask this question and suddenly the map appears, it's like people are like, "Whoa!" It's kind of like magic, right? It's exciting, so it's very viral, and we're getting a lot of traction and a lot of attention. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, yep, cool. All right, so what are some of the strangest or one of the strangest use of the tool so far? I didn't even think about having that song from Johnny Cash, or you said that some different cultures use it in different ways. So what's one that stands out or that you weren't expecting?
Right. So I wouldn't say strange. We're see. I mean, so of course the Johnny Cash one is a really funny one, and the Around the World in 80 Days one. Also some other books, a lot of books. I think the nicest one for me was somebody planned their husband's 70-year anniversary, a birthday anniversary, and yet and it was really nice to see because she wrote it as is, right? So at 6 we meet here, at 7 we meet here, and since the whole point of text to map is natural language, right? You can enter text exactly as you write it. It's not an Excel, it's not a spreadsheet, it's not coordinates and everything. It's exactly like how people talk and people write. So she just wrote, yeah, we meet at 5 o'clock here. We go after there, so we go there, and then she just got this map that she can share with everybody. So that was a really sweet thing to see. And I guess other than that, I can't think of something weird, but I can really think of really interesting things. Like a lot of where were the Civil War battles in the U.S. A lot of history books and stories. So it's really a lot of interesting cases.
Yeah, I think the one of someone with their 70th birthday, that also says that people from older generations are using the tool successfully. That's a really good sign.
Yeah, exactly. So the grandmother test, we passed there. My dad actually uses it a lot, and that's nice because he's also 70 plus, and he reads from PDFs and things like that online, right? So he's like in that mid generation, like where he refuses like a whole bunch of things of technology, but then he goes there. He reads a lot of history. He goes there to get information and things like that.
Okay, so is ChatGPT, because text to map has, from what I recall, a couple of different text boxes where you can put in, I think the first one was your original intent for the tool, where you can put in your paragraph or your book or whatever. And somehow the place names are basically converted into coordinates and put on as pins on a map. So you must be using some sort of geocoder for that function. The second option is to basically put a prompt into ChatGPT, and then the location names, as I am aware, in the text that ChatGPT gives back are then converted into coordinates or geocoded. So how is geocoding being done here?
Right. So I can't really, again, get into that specific because that's kind of our secret sauce.
Okay, I didn't mean to. Yeah,
Of course. No, it's a legitimate question, right? Yeah. So ChatGPT, of course, gives a lot of possibilities. Yeah. Each tool, there's a lot of tools out there, and they give a lot of possibilities and a lot of strengths. And yeah, so we implement these tools and other systems, in
Mm,
order to give us, to make the result as best as we can for the user, right?
yeah, yeah, okay. Okay, like all geospatial people, I'm curious about the amount of geospatial data that ChatGPT has in it. If you can actually use it as a geocoder and get coordinate pairs out of it. But I'm guessing you are not getting the coordinate pairs from ChatGPT.
From ChatGPT, yeah, again, I can't really say because
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
kind of a
Right. Yeah.
secret sauce.
Not wanting to interrogate you at
Yeah,
all.
but we are not. But basically, we are not like going to ChatGPT and saying, "Hey, do everything for us."
Yeah.
And I think that's also our strength, is that we have a very strong tool. We work. It's not based on ChatGPT. We worked on it before
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
We implemented ChatGPT into our platform, and it's not it's also not the last, or the platform or database or whatever that we plan to integrate, right? So we build it in a way that we can add more possibilities, add more knowledge to the platform, and also in order to make it future-proof and scalable for
Mm,
other industries, right? So add right now, so it's basically showing pins on a map, but in the future we want to add more layers of data, more possibilities, more capabilities. So we build it this way that you can really um, add more databases, add more
mm.
functionality to it.
Okay,
So we're
good.
not just like a ChatGPT, you
Yeah,
know.
okay, I understand. All right, so I understand from that the geocoding functionality could become more and more accurate, have more and more locations possible to be geocoded in future.
Yes.
That sounds good. All right. So it's someone has put the entire lyrics for a song into it. Could you put a whole book in? What's the limit?
Yes. So technically, you can put a whole book in. What we do right now, we limit. On the free plan, so we have a premium plan and there's a free plan. On the free plan, you have 1,000 characters per map, so a whole book won't fit. In the paid plan, we put a limit of 10,000 characters per map. This is for if you put 1,000,000 characters and send it all in one time, the servers will like lose it, right? So
Sure.
we had to kind of limit it there. But technically, yes, you can put a whole book into text to map, and you will get a nice map shown alongside the text, and then
Yeah.
you can read and see where every place
That
is
that would be an
in the
amazing
text.
extension to something like Kindle.
Right. So basically, I guess on Kindle, it would be kind of difficult, since the machine, the product itself, the tablet itself doesn't really support these kind of things. But right now, if you're reading online, right, in your browser, then at any point you can anytime you see something you want to visualize on a map, you select it and then you click the extension, the Chrome extension, and then you will see it on the map. So you don't even have to go. You don't have to copy paste the text into text to map. You can still work. You can work straight from the extension, straight
Yeah.
from the browser.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. So I saw Mapbox in the bottom right corner on
Right.
the map. So are they simply a base map, or are you using them for other things as well?
Right. So Mapbox are really cool, right? So they updated their like their design and UX a week ago, and we already changed that as well, and it really adds to the experience, to the browsing experience. So we're really happy with Mapbox, and so we basically use it for the visualization, right? For the design of the platform, of basically showing the map.
Yeah.
And yeah,
No, great to come across a company that's putting Mapbox to use. That's great. Okay, so are there any ethical issues with using AI generally or ChatGPT particularly?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there are, of course, people are talking about what's going on with that. For us, we don't see issues at all. On the contrary, um, we see it as a really cool possibility and really great thing that we're giving access to information. And this is something that was not really possible before, or to get that information, it was a very, very long list of actions, right? Um, so if you wanted to get a piece of information, you would have to search on Google, and then you would have to find somebody that actually did the work and visualize it on a map. And if not, then start doing the work yourself, right? Um, that's one point. Another point is really, saving time for content creators, authors, teachers, right? So that they rely their material and their content, they rely on maps, right? So it would take them also a lot of time and effort to create these kind of things, and now they can actually create these maps in seconds, right? So yeah, as far as we see it, as far as text to map and the whole AI revolution, we see it as something very positive in that sense. Um, and yeah, it will only get better and better. And if somebody can come in and ask a question and get a result in a few seconds and not have to spend a half an hour getting all this data somewhere else, then it's a win.
Yeah, definitely. It blew my mind. I was up until 2 a.m. I think when I first came across ChatGPT. Genuinely, it's a real moment almost
Yeah,
for civilization, I feel.
yeah.
All right. So what about accuracy issues? Because in my experience using ChatGPT, sometimes it hallucinates facts. Especially like the reason I was so excited about it was it helped me in my efforts to curate a list of all of the world's publicly traded geospatial companies. So I was using it to find competitors, to write understanding statements about businesses. But sometimes when it because I part of my process is to use it to find competitors for a business that I'm analyzing it. And sometimes the list of competitors would include fake companies. So are there any accuracy issues with that for text to map?
hmm Well, of course, nobody's perfect. ChatGPT is not perfect. Google's not perfect. Alexa's not perfect. Um, so there will always be accuracy issues. Um, so the thing is, with us, we're talking about locations in the world, right? So this is something that, if you're talking about Paris or Rome, of course, it's easy. If you're getting into much more complex things, then maybe there's some room for errors. What we always work on the algorithm, making it better, seeing where we have issues, trying to solve, and of course, since it cannot always be perfect, right? So you do have the option to edit the text, to reassign a location, right? To say, oh no, I meant so like San Jose, for example. There's like a million San Joses in the world, right? So sometimes it doesn't find the San Jose that you want. So you can go ahead and with like a click say, no, I didn't mean here, I meant the other place, right? So um, there will be issues with accuracy, always with all systems, but it's not about it's about fixing them, of course, but it's also about giving the user a solution or an option to solve it, right? So when you talk to Alexa and she says something wrong, she doesn't say, "This is my answer, take it or leave it." She says, "Oh, okay. Did you mean this? Did you mean that? Okay."
Yeah.
So the option to correct the machine should be there, but also the option to say, "Okay, I'll just it's a quick fix. I'll fix it myself." And when the result is 99%, 98% correct, then doing these little fixes is okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So in my own experience using text to map, we had a bit of a chat last week. I was experimenting with how to plan an itinerary for myself and the toddler around Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, text to map really quickly came up with a bunch of pins on the map around Paris relating to some destinations suitable for a toddler in Paris from ChatGPT. But I noticed when I zoomed out a bit, there was a location up on the northwest coast of France as well. But I knew that it intended most of the points were around Paris. But it was interesting to see that still some came out outside of Paris.
Right. I think I know the case. So we're talking about the Seine River, and I know this is a very interesting specific case because when the Seine River is mentioned in the text, the system says, okay, it's the Seine River, but the Seine River is not only in Paris,
Right,
and
sure.
it starts up north. So the system says, okay, this is the delta. This is the Seine River.
Okay.
So of course these are kind of things that we can teach maybe the system to say, okay, yeah, it's the river, but Paris was mentioned, so maybe this is what we mean, and this is how we can correct it. And you can also just delete. You can just delete this
Yes.
location, right? So you say, okay, this is not what I meant, and I don't really need this location, and you can remove it, and with one click, right, and then the map is, and then the map is correct. Right.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's interesting to know that it's a known case. I just sort of ignored it and went with what was in Paris. But yeah, that's interesting that you obviously know your way around the system and the
right.
results it
Yeah.
often gives. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we talk about accuracy. I mean, the result was correct. Yeah, the Seine River.
It was.
He found it, but yeah, it needs it crosses through Paris, but it also crosses through like a million other places. So where should me as a machine, where should I put it? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, so will the system be given advanced spatial analysis functions in future, such as walking distance catchments?
Right. So yeah, so the walking distance, etc. We basically already have this option. We have the export to Google Maps option, right? So basically, you take all the location of the map, and you can export it to a Google Map, and there you have, like, you can already navigate with it. You have all the functionality of the Google Map app, and this is also where we know, like, Google Maps or Apple Maps, these are products that people use, that people love. We're not here to replace these kind of things. It's not about that. So really, if you want to navigate, you have these platforms, you have these tools that everybody uses that are really good. So this is where you say, okay, now you want to travel with this map that you created, go ahead, you can export it to Google Maps, you can navigate, drive, whatever you want with it, right? So that functionality is already there. And of course, we plan to add much more functionalities. We're talking to our users. We're trying to understand which ones, or not really understand which features they want, because that's not the correct way to go. The correct way to go is to say, okay, what problems do you have? And then we will build the solution. So this is what we're doing right now. People are coming into text to map. They're seeing their problem. They're saying, "Oh, this could really help me with ABC." Or it's like, okay, so you have a problem with that text to map can solve. Let's see what we can build. And so we don't just want to launch features in the air that nobody asked for, right? We really want to be focused on what people need.
Yeah,
So this is what we're
definitely.
doing right now.
Okay. We can cover that a little bit more after the next question. I just want to ask the next question. We've covered it a little bit, but only in a tangential way. So I'll address it directly. So with the natural language interface, geospatial is democratized even more. What are the consequences for society and everyday people? You already began to sort of address that with my question to do with ethics. But I want to maybe, is there going to be some sort of a flowering here of geospatial analysis done by everyday people? through this sort of an interface?
Right. So, I mean, like geospatial is a very broad word, right? I mean, at the end of the day, most people, they use geospatial tools for very specific and down to earth and basic things, right? You know, so private personal people. When it comes to companies, of course, then it's totally something else. So I guess the focus, if we're talking about everyday people, of course, the whole AI revolution in the sense of geospatial will really help get the information they want quickly. In that sense, of course, and in the business sense, it will be really interesting to see where it goes, right? Because there maybe it's more closed garden thing. Everybody, all the companies are very they want to keep their data secure. So going to ChatGPT and throwing all their database into ChatGPT as a private company, it's not very much
Sure. Yeah,
recommended.
there's already been some IP loss of IP, or was it Samsung or something? Do you know about this? Some employees of some large corporation basically put company secrets into ChatGPT. I might be. Okay. Yeah, you raise a good point. This is relating to the ethics again. Okay. All right. Well, we started to touch on what's next, and I really love the way you put it, that you don't want to create functionality that nobody's asked for. The best way, and please correct if I'm paraphrasing incorrectly, is to ask what the problems are that people have. So what's next? For example, it would be amazing to plan a trip by routing between points on a map. So I would have appreciated that when I used it to show the location in Paris that ChatGPT suggested for a holiday with a toddler. So that's an example of a problem that a user of Text-to-Map had. What are some other problems that users are coming to you with?
Right. So it's a good question. So I guess one of the main things that we get asked for is adding more levels of data to the map. And this is something that we can and definitely will add. And we really need to see which kind of data and where is it coming from. Also, the sense of planning a trip, right? So routing the connections, it's also something that you need to see, okay, how it's done, because if we just say, okay, take the order that it appears in, and this is a route, maybe it's correct for your Paris trip, but maybe it's not correct for some other location, right? So this is something that we really need to see, okay, how do we deal with it? Or is text-to-map the place where you will do these kind of things, right? At the end of the day, what are you coming in for? So, just like we're giving you the option now to say, okay, you have a map, you ask for information, you got a map on this information. Now you want to navigate with it, no problem. Yeah, go to export to Google Maps and
right. So I can do that.
Do it there.
And you can have your sequence of stops in Google Maps, and it can provide you a route between those.
Exactly.
Would it do that if I exported from text to map? Could I export a series of points to, does it just put the points on Google Maps, or does it also put them in as a sequence of stops on a journey?
No, it puts them as a sequence of stops on a journey.
Wow.
So
easy.
you click the button, it says export, you click the button, and then poof, you're in the app, ready to drive, ready to go, all connected.
Wow.
So,
I mustn't have seen that when I was using it.
Yeah. Then I guess we need to kind of emphasize this feature that it's there. So I guess thank you for letting us know that we need to make it a little bit clearer that you can do that.
I'm
Exactly.
trying to be the world's keenest user of text to map here.
Very good, very good. All feedback is super appreciated. But yeah, basically we really we want to see, we're trying to see exactly what we need to build. Because we cannot be the everything app that you can
No.
plan travels, you can visualize the movement of blue whales across the oceans,
Sure.
right? Things like that. So we really need to see, what we need to work on and develop.
Okay, so tying it back, I guess, to the niche that you are addressing, which is corpuses of text from the travel and education industries and converting those instantly into maps. The biggest problem from either of those two industries is what? And therefore, what's your next on the roadmap?
Yeah. So the biggest problem for both is that there is a ton of data that is basically mostly textual. However, it's based mostly on locations in the world. When it comes to education, it's geography, history, of course, social science, social studies, things like that. Travel's obvious, right? So it's all about locations in the world. Um, Creating maps require a lot of work. So you have some tools out there. They require manual labor, whether you need to, add each location to yourself, or even if you can import a data sheet, right, a spreadsheet on Excel or whatever, you still have to put these locations in the Excel file, right? So this takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. Sometimes you just want to get that piece of information and move on. And this is what we're enabling users to do, right? We're enabling.
I feel like, yeah, it's what I'm seeing is it's almost like it's a different way to read a book. You can use a
Exactly.
map to read a book.
Yeah, exactly. So maps are a super important way to show information. Until now, it hasn't been an organic or seamless part of browsing the web, of getting information, right? It's not like using Google Translate that you just copy paste, or you use the function in the browser. It's not like bookmarking. It's not like going to Google and just searching for something. It's a complex um, action that you need to do that requires, a very long funnel of actions. And what we're trying to do, or what we're doing, is saying, no, it should be as easy as bookmarking a page, as easy as Googling something. It's a couple of clicks and you're there. You have this information. And this is what we're basically doing. We're making maps accessible. We're helping people finally utilize maps in a easy way, in a functionable way. So students, they're reading this long article about some culture somewhere they don't know. They're just, and in a second they can get a map, or you're reading the news about what's happening in the Ukraine, and nobody really knows.
Yeah,
It's not like the
yeah,
US.
that's a really good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, it's not like the US that everybody knows where
Right.
these places are. Nobody really knows the Ukraine map, and then you just select the text, click a button, and then suddenly you see, what's
That's where it
going
is
on
in the
in the
world.
Ukraine.
Yeah,
Exactly.
perfect. I don't want to drag this on too long, but only because I'm inspired. Um, what are those family genealogy websites? It's not his.
Yeah,
Is
there's a
it?
couple. My Heritage,
Yeah.
Ancestry.
Yes, exactly. So I was thinking it would also be like some people could be inspired or amazed to see a simple instant map of the locations each of the generations in their family have lived. Um, that could also be really nice.
Right. I think what we see is that really there's a lot of information out there, and it's a lot of the time it's really based on places in the world, and you don't really think about it, and then suddenly you see it, and then it gives you a whole new perspective and a whole new overview, right, of things. And it does have a lot of power, to make you see things in a whole new way. And we see that, and it's really cool, and we're really excited about it, and we're really happy with what we see.
Okay, well, with that, thanks very much, Dario, and encourage everybody to check out Text to Map.
Thank you very much for having me. It was great.